Thelma.
And my name is Tina.
And this is your Monday morning motivation.
So, why do you want to be financially independent? I mean, why do what you do? Why do you want to be well off? Well, that's an important question. If someone would have posed that to Andrew Carnegie, one of the men who literally built America, he would have probably said this, because this is actually what he said. Wealth is not to feed our egos, but to feed the hungry and to help people help themselves. You see, I think people like Carnegie, men like that, understood that money is not an end in itself. See, it's given for a greater purpose. I mean, part of managing your finances well is to be a good giver. I mean, God loves a cheerful giver, right? Well, that's what 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7 says. It says, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. You see, here are a few things that I want you to remember this week when it comes to God loves a cheerful giver and this text. First, we see that whatever you reap will be in proportion to what you have sown. Paul says, whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Now, this doesn't always work in the world's economy, that if you sow a lot, you're going to reap a lot. That may not always happen. The farmer may not always have a good crop. The investor may not always have a big return. The guys out here that are crappie fishing on Oak Tibby, they may have 10 poles in the water, but they may not always have a return on that. But here's something you need to know, is that in God's economy, it's always that way. It is always going to be a return on what you invest. If you sow a lot, then you're going to reap a lot, is what Paul says. So your reaping will be in proportion to your sowing. Now, number two, Paul has in mind here that this sowing is money, yes, but the reaping is actually becoming more like Jesus. See, if you want to be just a little like Jesus, then just be charitable a little bit. But if you want to resemble Jesus more and more, then Paul would say, man, give generously. See, this reaping and sowing, yes, it's sowing money in the text here, but it's not reaping money, as many people will teach. That's not what God's point is. God's point is that you will reap righteousness. That is Christ's likeness in your life. So if you want to look a lot like Jesus, be generous. Number three, in this text, we see that each person should give through prayer and discernment. God doesn't want us to just give blindly. He says in here that he says, each one must give as he has decided in his heart. So that means that, out of prayer, through prayer and through discernment, deciding on what you can give and what you should give. And so God says that's a good thing, to be wise in how you are charitable toward other people. So decide on that through prayer and discernment. And the last thing is that God loves it when you give with an open hand. I mean, that's how he has done us, right? John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him would not perish but have everlasting life. I mean, God loves a cheerful giver because that's the way God has been toward us. And I mean, just think about it, is that how God loves it when you give with an open hand. That's what it says. It says that that you should decide in your heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Man, God is delighted in you when we give and you and I give cheerfully. I've heard so many stories throughout Progressive about how generous you have been toward others in need. And man, I want to encourage each one of you, continue doing that. Keep doing that. I mean, I know we're doing well, but I also know that there's probably room for improvement in my life and in yours as well. So the question then helps us understand that is, do you know what the needs are in your office or on your job site? Because not everybody's going to share those. Not everybody's going to talk about those. But do you know what's going on in the life of your people to be able to know that? I mean, how can you help meet those needs? How can you be charitable to the stranger that you meet, to your friends or to your family? You see, God loves a cheerful giver. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome, a safe, and a productive work week.